What if you could get the kind of talent in the first round of the 2020 NFL draft that could change the fortunes of your football team? Isn't that what everybody wants? Isn't that what the first round of the draft is all about? Isn't that what the number one pick is all about? What if that guy, though, is not a quarterback? Now, we all know you need a quarterback, a great one, on a rookie deal to compete for a Super Bowl, right? You need a Jared Goff. You need a Patrick Mahomes. Or you need a guy like Tom Brady who is a unicorn and willing to restructure his deal so that he can hopefully get to the promised land. But we do know this. It's very difficult to win a Super Bowl with a quarterback who is getting into his second contract. However, if you are the New York Giants and you have some capital to move, perhaps you're not even going to go for the quarterback. Perhaps you do something not unlike what you did last year. Daniel Jones aside, Josh Allen, we all know about what that guy was. I believe the best prospect we have seen on the defensive side of the football in some time is not Chase Young, but Isaiah Simmons. Chase Young is the best player in this draft. Isaiah Simmons has the most upside of anyone in this draft. And if you are the New York Giants, you absolutely positively need a playmaking linebacker. We know that. You need a left tackle. But is he going to be there at number 4? I think so. I would like to think so, right? We know that the Cincinnati Bengals have almost certainly drafted Joe Burrow number 1, even as I would make an argument that if they wanted to go get Isaiah Simmons, I would not be mad at them. I would perhaps even think about what's Ryan Tannehill going to do? What are some of these other quarterbacks that are going to be open to free agency on March 18th going to do? And maybe secure one of those. And then you really get to do some moving and shaking. Perhaps even Josh Rosen down at Miami. Because I'm not so certain that you want to pass up the opportunity to draft Isaiah Simmons. I get that the scouting combine is one thing. And being the only linebacker to run 4.39 is something else entirely, especially at his height and weight. 6'3", about 238 pounds. He is an enormous man who can fly. But he's also the Butkus Award winner. He was the best player on the entire Clemson football team. That includes Trevor Lawrence. That includes Travis Etienne. That includes T. Higgins. He was invaluable to what they were doing. Invaluable, meaning more than most valuable. They could not operate as a defense if they did not have him on the field doing the kinds of things that he was able to do that allowed them to play a 3-1-7. Think about that. They had the opportunity to play what many people would consider 6 defensive backs plus him. And then you can move a linebacker around if you needed to. And they were able to use him as an edge rusher and get single gap technique for their defensive linemen because he was so good coming off the edge. It's almost like looking at the Saquon Barkley pick that we all scoffed at, and he turns out to be perhaps 1A when we're talking about best back in the league, right? 1A, 1B, depending on who you are. And I'm still not certain that he's better than an Ezekiel Elliott was when he was great in 2018, but he's certainly in there. Now, if you could have the equivalent of Saquon Barkley on one side of the ball and the other, you would probably have Isaiah Simmons, right? You would have him playing linebacker and playing running back because he's just that gifted. He's just that good. This is a particularly interesting problem and a fun one, right? Because we all agree that Isaiah Simmons is a can't miss prospect. I'm not even going to approach talking about him in the boom or bust segment because it's why. You know, if he's a bust, we all missed on him. But I'm not in the business of passing up superior talents, right? If Chase Young is there, I got to take Chase Young. I got to take Chase Young and Isaiah Simmons before I take a Joe Burrow, before I take a Tua Tagovailoa. Not because they are better positional value, but because they're just better players. And I need better players. I need elite figures. I need guys that can change the game. That aside, when you're the front office and you have to build a strategy around your quarterback, because you know that everybody's looking at the quarterback, you know that guy's going to touch the ball the second most times of anybody else on the field, right? Center's going to touch the most. You need to build a marketing strategy around that person. But if you want to win football games, you need outstanding defense and you need outstanding defenders and you need one guy that can change your fortunes. Now, if you are a team that's got a quarterback like the New York Giants have settled on Daniel Jones, I'm not all in on the Daniel Jones train. I understand there's a lot of people in there. I think the man needs a better nickname because, as I said on CBS Sports, I'm not going to call him Danny Dimes. I'm going to call him Danny Milquetoast. Okay? But if Isaiah Simmons is on the other side of the ball, you have slot receivers that are scared. You have running backs that are scared. You have a quarterback who wants to know where that guy is at all times because he's terrified of getting his passes picked off. When's the last time we could say that about a linebacker? When's the last time we could say that about a safety? You're talking about Hall of Fame caliber talent here. You're talking about a guy that is built for the modern game of football as we know it. A guy that is built to play safety and will linebacker when you need him, or nickel slot corner. He can cover up all of your mistakes. He's a sin eater. Okay? He's an eraser. You match him up against Travis Kelce, he can run with him. You match him up against Odell Beckham Jr., he can run with him. You match him up against Saquon Barkley, he can run with him. And he's big enough to bring them down. And he's athletic enough to compete for balls in the air. I don't know of another player in this draft with that capability. There's 3 or 4 guys in this draft that can throw the football around. There's a few of them that can pass rush, even as Chase Young is the best of them. But when you're talking about a guy that really can change everything you know about your football team, you're talking about Isaiah Simmons in the same way that we were talking about Patrick Mahomes. Again, Isaiah Simmons plays a dependent position. I understand where you're at. But when you're talking about his talent, when you're talking about where he lands in the superhero aesthetic that is the Zion Williamsons, the LeBron Jameses of the world, you're talking about a guy that is absolutely going to make waves. I would not be surprised to look around 10, 15, 20 years and see Isaiah Simmons giving his Pro Football Hall of Fame speech. Not to say that it can't happen, right? He could be a bust, but I doubt it. And what's more likely, Joe Burrow being a bust or Isaiah Simmons being a bust? You see where I'm getting at there? We know that this league sucks at drafting quarterbacks in the first round. 50% is a failing grade. Okay, that's how often they hit. And we're wrong as often as we're right about quarterbacks. We all scoffed at Patrick Mahomes you traded up to go get this guy? We saw him at Texas Tech. What did you see? We also scoffed at Mitch Trubisky at number 2, and guess what? We were right. But we rarely miss on defenders, right? Vernon Gholston's the last one that people were like, yo, that guy didn't mess around. He didn't get a drop out there, man. Put him in an appropriate scheme, he's going to turn up. I think Isaiah Simmons is a generational talent. And if you have the opportunity to draft him, you should not hesitate.